Alright, what's up guys? So here's the second video. We're gonna do a little watching cartoon, like with me watching, so we'll watch together. So this particular cartoon we're gonna watch is called The Fear of Space. Now, the reason I picked it for this video is because this is pretty big in terms of like the lasting impact it had, on media, or how important, culturally important this is for our history. Yeah, right away you can tell there's a lot of Nazism here. Uh, the funny thing is, well, I'm sure most of you have seen this, but for those of you that haven't, I'll be glad to explain. This was made by, okay, if I was to tell you, let's say you were a stranger, and whoa, that's racist. Uh, if I was to tell you that this cartoon was made by Disney, 90% of you would be like, no fucking way. Damn, that's a big swastika. But you would have been like, there's no way Disney made this cartoon. There's no way. Disney's all about family, all about friendship, all about like nice, the good things in life. And you're telling me that Disney made this cartoon? Yes. During World War II, and it wasn't just Disney. It was all the cartoon companies, Warner Brothers, Universal, RKO Studios. They all made cartoons. They all made movies. They made propaganda films that supported their view of the war. So Disney makes this cartoon in response to the invasion of the Nazis, the Italians, and the Japanese. I don't know what year this was made, as of right now, but I know for sure this was made after the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, which was like the end of 1941. So this was probably made around 42, 43-ish. But so it's crazy even watching it now, because we've come a long way in terms of stereotypes. Because even after the war was over, there were still cartoons that portrayed minorities, or portrayed maybe enemy characters as stereotypes. So earlier in the show, cartoon, you had the Japanese guy looking yellow with the slanted eyes, which back then it was socially acceptable, because that's how there was no what's the term? Oh, there was no such thing as political correctness. I think that's the term. Yeah. Oh, my bad. Mein Kampf. Hail Hitler. but yeah, there was no such thing as political correctness back then. Back then, cartoons had more leniency in terms of what they can show on TV, because it was deemed socially acceptable to portray minorities in such a manner. I mean, heck, there's even a Looney Tunes. I remember saw it a few times. There's a Looney Tunes episode involving Bugs Bunny, and essentially the most stereotypical black person you could think of, with the big lips, the lazy aspect of them, and how he would talk about, yeah, I'm gonna get that Bugs Bunny, like how a lazy black person would talk. Of course, this type of shit would never ever be tolerated today. If this was to make something like this today, it would never make it past the censors. It'd be brought down immediately. Which is kind of crazy, because I guess, like I said earlier, it shows how far we've come in terms of thinking, of us producing our knowledge of what's right to air and what's not right to air. Even though there's still a few hiccups here and there that but yeah, it's nothing saying. It's pretty cool how we've gone in terms of stereotypes portrayed in the media. I mean, of course, you have Family Guy, you have The Simpsons, who had their own share of controversy. Like, even South Park has had controversies too. I remember there was an episode where they portrayed the Prophet Muhammad, but in a bear suit. They make reference to the Prophet, even though they never show his face or his body. They comedically made fun of him in such a way where the creators of South Park were even threatened with violence if they continued to air this episode on TV. So consequently, the Comedy Central decided to pull the episode entirely, and essentially told the South Park creators never to air the episode again on TV. even if you go to their website where they have all the episodes, they actually have all the episodes. So if you guys don't watch South Park episodes, just go to their website. They have all the episodes for free. It's free. But even if you go to that episode and you click on it, it'll say this episode is unavailable due to, I forgot to say, it says something like due to Comedy Central's request not to air this episode, because again, they still fear that something might happen. So, which is ironic, because if you're talking about the same show that makes fun of Catholics, that makes fun of Buddhists, that makes fun of gays, that makes fun of blacks, essentially it makes fun of, it can make fun of every other race, but when it comes to Prophet Muhammad or the Islamic religion, that's a big no-no. Now again, I'm not going to go into a big rant about this, because that's another topic for another time. But so as we keep going with this show, well, yeah, let's focus our attention here. So if you see more of this show going on, you see, they portray these Nazis as, overworking their forces. It's all about, no, you must walk for the German Reich. Überdame Deutschland, der Mannschaft. And so you see Donald going crazy. He said, what the fuck, man? What the fuck's going on? I'm not used to this crap. And then we have a weird scene here where he starts thinking about anything Nazism that relates to his personal life. And funny enough, too, in the beginning, you know how one of the guys was super fat and he had to kind of flamboyant? They basically tried to portray these Nazi, Italian, whatever the enemies has, being gay-like or being like all these weird, and how it was alright to get rid of them once and for all. I will say this though, for the record, it does have the Führer's face. See, hi. It's kind of catchy. I don't know. For some reason, it's still stuck in my head right now. Like, see, I in the Führer's face on it. And then this little clip at the end right here. This little bit right here. So see, that's how you know it's just propaganda. I mean, again, America is one of probably the greatest country ever in this earth. I'm not just saying because I live here. It's giving us the freedoms that we know now. Thanks to us liberating Europe from the Nazis. This is probably one of the countries in the world where you can really be free. Do whatever you want. You're not restricted by any ideology. You're not restricted by an economic system. You're not restricted by sheer brutality of a dictatorship, totalitarian or otherwise, any authoritarian. You're essentially free. That's why this country's so great. That's why it hurts me sometimes when people say like, man, this country sucks. Why can't we be like the Soviet Union or communist states? I could say a million things about that. I do support some aspects of communism in the sense that as a like social programs, so that I think that's good. That's actually, people seem to forget, but welfare, social security, those are all aspects of communism, because and when you get tax returns and all that, that's kind of a form of communism, because you're getting all the money, you're distributing it back to everybody. And then you have these welfare programs, or essentially the definition of socialism or communism, where we get taxpayers to pay for other people's living expenses. But again, that's a topic for a whole other story. So we're done with this one. Let's go on to the third video for Christmas Day. So we'll see what it is.